Makeup brushes, makeup tools can get pretty pricey sometimes, and I do believe that there are some very decent, more affordable makeup tools. Now, I will say there is something to be said for buying very good quality makeup tools. They're going to last you for years and years. My two favorite are Beakey Beauty and Rēphr, but in today's video, I'm going to show you all the more affordable brushes and some makeup tools that I do think are worth it. Okay, there are two foundation brushes that I think are amazing. I love the one from Hailey's Beauty. The things I like about this one is, first, I've washed it several times, and it always comes out amazing, like I just bought it. The bristles have a dome, so it's very easy to put your foundation on and buff, and that is very important to me. I don't like a flat brush. I definitely like the dome. That's my favorite kind of foundation. You might be different, of course, but for me, that's perfect. So when you're putting your foundation on, once you've got it all distributed, you can just release the tension, I call it, and you can buff out and just make all those edges buff into your skin. This brush does it amazing. You can see the bristles are pretty packed. It's hard for me to even move these over to the side. Whereas I'll show you another one. This is another brush. See how I can push. I'm really struggling with my words today. I can push through. They're not as packed. Now, this is a different brush for a different reason, but I just want you to see this is really packed well. Another one is from e.l.f. and it is their buffing foundation brush. So, of course, I'm going to buy that. It says buffing. It's got the same kind of thing. Now, this one moves a little bit more. I'll show you the difference between the two. This one's not quite as packed as the Hailey's Beauty one. But this is a good foundation brush. Again, it's got that dome shape that I like. You can as well get it to buff wonderfully. So I would recommend either of these for doing your foundation. Two different price points, but definitely more on the affordable side. And Hailey's Beauty even runs sales quite often. In fact, when I looked, I don't know if it will be when this video goes live, but when I looked, this was on sale on Amazon. All of these are linked below. I encourage you to go to my Amazon storefront. I always categorize them, like all the tools that I use are in one section, if it's sold on Amazon, of course. Okay, I'll be honest with you, I really could not find eye brushes that I loved as much as Beakey Beauty or Rēphr. I tried hard. I bought a whole eye collection from Real Techniques. I did a whole video about it. I will link that below. And then when I was trying to find some eye brushes, I decided to buy this entire collection of e.l.f. brushes. So it was more than just eye, but it had their eye collection in there. I've tried all of them. I'm going to show you the only ones that I actually think are worth it. So I would not buy this collection because there's a lot of brushes in there I did not like, but I'll show you the ones that I did if it's sold in that, or from e.l.f. in general. I use the pointed eye brush to just get like a little bit of color on my eye, and I'm using very neutrals, not very strong. I'm not a huge eyeshadow person as it is, so just keep that in mind. When I want to do eyeshadow, I want it to be easy to put on, and I have very hooded, very wrinkly, very loose eyelids. So I need it to work with my eyelids. So yours might work much better with these. I did use this one. I think it's this one. I get these two confused. This one and this one. One's called the crease brush. Detail crease is this one. It's the blacker one. And then this one that has the whiter tips. I get these two confused. I think I use this one for all over my lid. And then I use this one at the end to blend it all out. They're okay. They're okay. There are a couple ones that I really do like of e.l.f. This one's called the Small Precision Brush. It's very, very small. It's flat on one side and it's got a rounded top. I actually like this one if I have a blemish somewhere and I just want to get some concealer like right on that little blemish. I will use it for that and then just blend it out to the side and then go in with foundation. This is actually called a concealer brush, and I actually like this one for going right underneath my brow bone. I think it works wonderful for that because it's got a very flat and pointed top, so I can just get that precision. I don't use it for a concealer. I just don't like it for a concealer. I'll show you what I use for a concealer in a minute. I do like their flat eyeshadow brush, and I like this for getting shimmers and things because I can get it right in the crease, like right there, and I can get it very precise where I want it. And this really grabbed a hold of the shimmer instead of letting it go all over the place. This is called the Wing It Liner Brush. This has a unique shape. It's got kind of a fan to a tip, and it's very skinny, very precise. I like eyeshadow underneath my eye. I don't like an eyeliner because a shadow is just a more softer look. I love how it goes right underneath my lash line, and I can wing it up if I want. I'm not a huge eyeshadow winger. I'm not a huge eyeliner wing kind of person, so I don't use it for the wing part so much, but getting right underneath my lash line, oh my heart, I love it for that. If I wanted to and go on the top, I could use it for that as well. So this one is definitely one that I would recommend. I've not seen it on any other brand that it's like this. It's very unique. It's very affordable. e.l.f. did great on this one. Okay, concealer. I actually use this brush above all my high-end brands. It's from a brand called Albeaut. This is the perfect concealer brush for me. I love it because it gets literally right in my corner of my eye perfectly. This is a very dense brush. See how hard it is to push them over? It really can pack in that concealer instead of just getting it all over the place. I love how it comes to a point so I can really direct it where I want it to go. To me, this is the perfect concealer brush. I think it's under $5. Yeah, this one's a good one. If you hear howling, the wind is so bad outside right now, and it's just kind of making everything howl. So another thing I love to do is to put an all over shadow, and I use a cream shadow. Most of the time that's all I use on my lids, but it just kind of evens out the skin tone, makes it look a little bit brighter. I love it, and I always use the Perricone MD. The brush I love to use with it is from Real Techniques, and this one's a little bit newer to me, but I have fallen in love with it. It's called the Kitten Paw brush, and it's because it kind of looks like a kitten paw. It's flat on one side, and then it bevels up to that tip, and it has just a rounded edge at the top, and it's relatively dense, but it's got some give to it. And you could actually use this with powder or cream. I choose to use it right on my eyelid and just even out that eyeshadow perfectly. The bristles are a little bit feathered at the top. It's like a little bit looser there. That makes it so that there's no harsh lines. I can blend it out. I love this brush. All right, let's talk blush and bronzer. First, bronzer. I have pretty small features, so I need to be careful that I'm using something that will keep it where I put it. My brush can't be too huge, or else I'll get bronzer where I don't want it to be. So one that I like to use is from Real Techniques. It's called their Expert Face Brush. It's smaller. It's got that dome shape, so it will go ahead and do that buffing thing I like. It's got a little bit pinch to it, so the bristles aren't too loose. This is nice and small, so it gets where I need it to be. It blends it out so I can go ahead and do that buffing thing. It works well for under my chin, on my forehead. It works amazing. Now, having said that, so would both of these, what I used for my foundation. This one's definitely a little smaller than these two, but not by much. Sometimes I'll just recommend to people, if you love a foundation brush for cream or liquid foundation, go ahead and buy two of them. Use one of them for your foundation and one for your other cream products, like your cream blush or cream bronzer. They're obviously already great for cream. They're gonna work for those products as well. I would say these two are closer in size. This is the e.l.f. one, but this one has that pinch to it. See how it's a little bit pinched, and this one's just round. So this one gives you that smaller side because you could get it to go, if you're doing it the pinched way, you can go this way. So that's why this one might be better. It depends on what your needs are. If you want one that's for a powder bronzer, I would recommend this one. This is called the Powder Blurring, and it's from e.l.f. It's got a little bit more of a pinch here, but not much. So it's not completely round. It's got a little bit more give. I'll show you. Here's the one for the foundation, and you can see the difference between the two. Let me push it in. This is the foundation. this is the powder. See how that one's just looser? It means it will pick up a little bit more powder than this one will. And it means it will give it a little bit more of an airbrush. Not too much, not like a powder that you would use for powder all over your face, because you still need to have precision for your bronzer. So I would use this one. It's still small enough and it will blur out. Since it's made for powder, it will absolutely be good for a powder bronzer and actually a powder blush as well. But I'm going to show you a different one I like for powder blush. Cream blush. There's 3 of them that I highly recommend. First would be the Real Techniques number 449. There's no other name for, oh no, there is a name for it. Tapered Cheek Brush is the name for it, but it is number 449. This one's got that pinch and then it's got wider on this side. And you can see it's got some give to it. I do like this for a cream blush, and here's why I like it. I like that it's got 2 sides that are distinct. I will use the one side, you almost can tell what I did. I use one side for the color and I use the other side for blending it out. So I'll dip in with the cream and I'll apply the cream, turn it over, and I use that to buff it out. And it's small, you can see I can put it where I want it to go. So I do love this brush for blush. You could use the same brush for your bronzer as well. Many of these you can use interchangeably. Another one that is, again, this one's more new to me, but I've used it quite often and I have fallen in love with this one specifically for blush. When I'm doing bronzer, I do it more like there, and it's a bigger space. My blush, I try to keep to this area and go up. I don't like it to go too much down. It's called the Power Pigment Brush and it's from Real Techniques. You would think I wouldn't like it because it's large, but see how it has that tip? It goes to the top, and you can see how I've used it by the color. I will dip the tip into my cream blush, and that tip, because it's very small, that's hitting my cheek and I can direct it where I want. And then I just turn it to the side and I use that to blend out. It's an amazing brush for that. I love this brush, and I love it because it has that tip. If it didn't have the tip, I probably wouldn't even bother with this brush. So this has definitely been a good find, and it's again, it's from Real Techniques, so it's got a more affordable price point. Okay, this is a unique brush. Sadly, I don't think you can buy this by itself. You have to buy it in a collection, but it may be worth it because of how it has this I'll just show you. It's called the Small Stipple Brush and it's from e.l.f. And see how it's more condensed down here, and then it's got these longer ones that go beyond these. So that gives it kind of that airbrush. If you had blush, I have blush here, cream, and this is going to be hard to do backwards, but it will blend out beautifully. See how it blends that so nicely, and I'm hardly, oh, do you hear that wind? My goodness. Okay, so it gives it that wash. It's kind of like an airbrush. Oh, it's amazing. I don't know why they stopped selling this individually. If I can find it, I'll put it individually, but I did find it in a pack on e.l.f.'s website. And you can even like dip it in yourself and then obviously brush it on. And look at how it just airbrushes that. Love that. But I know some of you really like a powder blush, and I've got you. This is one that again is a little bit newer to me, but I've used it again quite often. It's also from Haley's Beauty, so the same one that I got for my foundation. This one is made more for powder, and you can see it's got that like angle to it. When I'm using a powder blush or bronzer, I really like an angle to it. What also is nice is that it's pinched here, and then it goes long, and the longer the brush, the more give you're gonna get, and that's why it's great for a powder. It moves that powder so much more effortlessly when it's got those long brushes. And I like that it's narrow, so it goes perfectly where I want it to go. I don't have to worry about it removing anything because it's got that light touch. So this one's an amazing one for powder. After I have all my makeup on, usually before I put on any lipstick or anything, I like to do blending everything together. And my favorite one is from e.l.f. It's called the e.l.f. Airbrush Blender. It's flat on one side and then it tapers up, and it's got pretty dense, so it will move things, even your cream products, to help move it, but it won't take it off. Right before I do any kind of powder to set my makeup, I will blend it all, and then I will go in with a powder. So this is one of my finds that I think last year I found it. I will say all of them wash amazingly, and they were all clean at one point. I do promise you they were, but I had to do my makeup. Okay, let's talk more inexpensive tools. Although I will start with one that I really can't duplicate in an inexpensive manner, and that's the Rēphr eyelash curler. I just can't get one that works as well. I am in the 18R, there is a 20R, and the difference is the curve, how it curves, and that goes with the curve of your eye. I love it. I wish I could find an inexpensive one, although I will say Rēphr does do sales quite often, so I would wait for a sale. I love putting foundation on with a sponge. A lot of times I'll use a brush. You get more coverage with a brush, but sometimes foundations work much better with a sponge. I love the ones from Beakey, and they are sold on Amazon. I have used them for years, and I use the same sponge often. Now they have another one that's a little flat and rounded. I do love that one probably more, but it's a little bit more expensive. I have to replace it more often than I do these. Same company. I don't know what the difference in material is. I don't know. But I do like the feel of the rounded one. These have worked well. They wash many times. When it just gets to that gross part, where, and you'll know, you're like, oh yeah, this is gross. It doesn't really clean anymore. And I just start a new one. Beakey also comes out with these. These are puffs. I love the shape of this. Sometimes I'll actually cut these things off because you can use both sides. I'll invert it, and then I've got the clean side. I don't feel like I need to have my finger in there. I don't know. But I use this for all the small areas. So underneath my eye, I'll use it for putting powder over my eyelid. I'll use it for around my nose, around my lips, and things like that. If I want to get a little bit bigger, I'll turn it over. Usually I'll use that, you know, going around. When I want to use a bigger one, like my whole face setting, I go for these. And I don't know what brand this is, but again, it'll be linked below. I've had these for couple years. Same 4 ones. They come in a pack, I think, of 4. They just wash up great. And again, you can invert it and use the other side, or just cut these little straps off if you don't use them. They're wonderful for doing the big part of your face. Your face. These are indispensable. You will see me quite often use a sponge called Stands Out Beauty Sponge. I would not say that this is completely inexpensive. I believe full price, this one sponge is $20. To me, that's more on the high-end side. Having said that, they often run sales. To me, this is indispensable. I know some people just do not see it. They've tried it. They don't see anything about it. I've used it for years. This is like the perfect thing for me to use after I've done my foundation. I blot this all over my face, and it kind of soaks up. You use it dry, and it soaks up any extra. Sometimes if you've got that polka dot thing happening on your face, sometimes that's just the foundation and you need to use a different foundation. But if you've got that and you just need to soak up those areas, it could just mean that's what you need. This does that. For me, my nose area is really difficult, and this just kind of, I don't know, it blends it. It just does amazing. And I could never do my makeup without these 2 little things. This is a disposable. I say in quotes because I don't dispose of them. I wash them and reuse them several times. I've never thrown it away. This is from Real Techniques, and it's a 2-sided spoolie. This is wonderful for fanning out your lashes if they're a little clumped from mascara, or right before you put your mascara on. Go ahead and brush this through. It's amazing for that. I use this side for brushing through my eyebrows, so if I want to get them all going the same direction. If I've used some kind of gel, like a clear or colored gel, to get my eyebrows to stand up, I use this to brush it through to make sure there's no clumps or weirdness going on. I would recommend this highly. These things are indispensable. They're just a makeup Q-tip. It's not from the brand Q-tip. Maybe they have their own brand. I don't know. This is like very stiff. It's very hard to bend that over. And getting this to go like in areas, take little makeup flecks off or go over my brow if my gel got places where it shouldn't be. I love these things and I use them all the time. These are definitely disposable. I do not reuse these, wash them and stuff. They get gross really fast. Right here is the video I did all about the Beakey beauty brushes that I absolutely love. And this video is a video I did showing how I get my hooded eyes to not look so hooded and downturned. And I used all Rēphr brushes to do that. So I'm going to link both of those there. I'll see you in one of those or another one. God bless.